What do you think about prejudice? I was considering the word prejudice. You know, we use that word a lot. You know, I was a boy in the 60s, a young man, teenager, and a young man in the 70s, and a military man in the late 70s. And so we've used the word prejudice a lot. That person's prejudiced, that person's prejudiced. But I don't think prejudice is really the right word. And I'm beginning to think, I don't know if it was then, and I certainly don't believe it's the right word now. See, prejudice, as we break down that word, is prejudging. It's believing that all black people are this or all black people are that, you know, if we're talking about black folks and all. But nobody really believes that now. See? It's more like an evil or a wickedness or a choice to be harsh. It's no longer, it's not an innocent prejudice is what I'm saying. And prejudice can be innocent. It's just not giving enough thought about an individual and just assuming, oh well, just classifying them all as this. And for so long, black people, and it used to really irritate me, black people tried so hard just to prove that they weren't like that. Don't think I'm like that. I'm trying to prove myself that I'm not like that, you know. I don't want you to be prejudiced. I want you to judge me for who I am. Well, guess what they always have? They always knew you're a human being. Is that they mistreated you, okay? And it's a reality now. Because they might have been able to hang on that, you know, here and there over the years, but you know, black people have just become too good at too many things. We had 8 years of President Obama, an intellectual giant who dwarfed the intellect of everybody who came against him, whether it's from the Democratic rivals or all of his Republican rivals. They had no clue on how to deal with this man because he was intellectually far beyond any of them. Plus, he was a good man. He was a smooth man. He was a calm man. He was a well-thought, well-spoken man and a moral man. These folks, they were not, okay? And so the entire world has seen this, and everybody in this nation has seen this. That's why they went so crazy about him, especially when he won the second time, because it took away from him that last vestige, that last imaginary idea of superiority when this man became president of the United States, and then for a second time, 8 years. So there's no prejudice anymore. There's no thinking black people are this or black people are that. They had 8 years every day to look at this man. They know better. It's ethnic persecution. It's not prejudice. Ethnic persecution is just desiring to be a certain way to a certain people because they are not like you. That's ethnic persecution. And it doesn't have to be physical. It can simply be verbal. It can simply be nonverbal. It could be anything. It's just treating you in a negative way because of who you are. It's no longer prejudice. We need to quit using that word. Put that word on the shelf. Prejudice is a word that denotes ignorance. Ignorance of who an individual actually is. That is no longer an issue because they know. Too many black folks have been in too many positions of power, whether it's Barack Obama, whether it's Colin Powell, whether it's Condoleezza Rice, too many of them. Even Ben Carson. I mean, whatever the politics, however aggravating they might be, the reality is there is intellect there and they know it. So it's not prejudice anymore. It's simply ethnic persecution. And so we need to handle that. We need to make sure that we are okay. Because nobody else is going to do it. We need to quit allowing folks to push our buttons. Because pushing your buttons doesn't mean a thing. Saying something about you, knowing how you're going to respond, really doesn't mean a thing. Most of the people that are perpetrating these ills verbally against black folks are not really that bright. I mean, we can look at the TV guys, you know, whether it's like Tucker or whatever the guy's name, and a lot of these guys, they're just journalists. Remember in school, the journalism club? Well, these are just these guys grown up, okay? So they're not that bright, okay? Don't let them push your buttons. Many of you are way brighter than they are, but you let them push your buttons. And you can't get anywhere. Like that cat, chasing that little red dot all over the wall. He's going to jump over here. He's going to jump over there, jump over here. No, stop chasing that dot. Stop chasing the dot. We just need to take care of our own business. And see, this is the issue that black people have today, is where it's a lot easier to demand that somebody act different to me than to me to take on the responsibility and change. And it's difficult, and I put this in my book, to be black in America and not die, is that you have generations and generations born into a particular mindset, into a family with a mindset, the next family a mindset, next family, hundreds of years of that, believing how they have been defined. Now we're smart enough to recognize that this guy, his prejudice, his ignorance is just that. I am not what he has defined me to be. But the biggest culprit in the lives and the minds of black folks are how we have allowed our own environments to define who we are. I mean, this whole thing about being cool. I mean, I'm cool. No, I am. I was. I still am, probably. But see, it's that whole thing. What is this about being cool? Even in my mind right now as I'm speaking this. We have bought into this definition of who we are or who we're supposed to be. And the reality is nobody is born cool. I think I was. Now, nobody is born cool. So if you consider, then it's a particular perception that you have invited in intentionally and then projected it out for other people to see. Okay? So it's a false image. And so then we have to begin to try to determine how many false images have we bought into that are not helpful, that are not healthy for us. I see homeless people on the street. Not if they're homeless, but very, very poor. Brothers, and just been all cool and everything. It's an image. It's a projection. And as long as you have that image, have that projection up, there's not much work you can do behind the mask, okay?